Welcome to the Coins channel. And here's something you might never have considered. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? A coin so ordinary, so plain, that most people would use it to grab a soda or pay for parking. Yet hidden behind that familiar design lies a staggering fortune, a mistake at the mint that turned an everyday coin into a rare treasure. And today we're diving deep into the story of the 1998 D quarter dollar, a coin so seemingly common yet capable of commanding an astonishing $120 million at auction. Yes, you heard that right. A single quarter, 25 cents, transforming into a life-changing fortune. And as we unravel the secrets behind this particular coin, I urge you to stay with me till the very end, because not only will you understand what makes the 1998 D quarter so valuable, but you'll also get a glimpse into the next incredible coin we'll uncover, one that's equally shocking and drenched in mystery. So stick around because the ride only gets more unbelievable from here. The story of the 1998 D quarter begins in Denver, where millions upon millions of coins were produced, most destined for ordinary circulation, jingling in pockets, tossed into vending machines, or rolling out as change at your local store. Yet within this massive production, a handful of errors occurred that collectors today would do anything to own. Errors so rare and so defining that they skyrocketed the coin's worth to unimaginable levels. And when one such piece surfaced at a prestigious auction house, bidding wars erupted, collectors flew in from across the globe, and that simple quarter shocked the world when the hammer fell at a mind-blowing $120 million, setting records and redefining the market for modern American coins. And here's the question that should grip you right now. Could such a coin still be out there, sitting unnoticed in a coin jar in someone's kitchen, maybe even in your house right this moment? To understand why this coin holds such value, we need to trace its background. The late 1990s was a period of transition for U.S. coinage, with the state quarters program about to launch in 1999, and the mint was preparing for a surge in production and demand. The 1998 D quarter therefore represents the final regular issue designed before that revolutionary series. And within that context, the Denver Mint pushed through massive mintages. But as happens when machines and humans collide in high-speed production, errors slipped through, and not just any errors, but dramatic ones that collectors dream about. Imagine double strikes where the design overlaps, off-center strikes leaving blank arcs of metal, die cracks resembling lightning bolts across Washington's portrait, and even a few extraordinary transitional errors where the coin was struck on the wrong planchet, perhaps intended for a different denomination. Those mistakes, though tiny, became the seeds of immense value because, while millions of flawless coins rolled into circulation, these flawed beauties became one-of-a-kind treasures. Now let's put ourselves into the shoes of a collector at the time. Most people in 1998 were not scouring their change looking for errors. Few even understood the potential, and yet a handful of keen-eyed individuals spotted something odd. Maybe the date looked doubled. Maybe Washington's face was distorted. Maybe the reverse eagle seemed faint or misaligned, and rather than spending it, they tucked it away, unknowingly saving what would later become a millionaire's ticket. Fast forward to the modern coin market where rarity and provenance drive astronomical prices, and suddenly these mistakes are the golden children, prized above pristine perfection. And when that 1998 D quarter crossed the auction block, with documented provenance and a once-in-a-lifetime error, it drew eyes from seasoned collectors, investment firms, and even museums eager to claim it. And when the final bid climbed past 100 million, gasps filled the room. It wasn't just a coin anymore. It was history, a cultural artifact, and a symbol of how value hides in plain sight. But here's where the suspense builds even higher, because if the 1998 D quarter, struck so recently, could reach such dizzying heights, what about other coins from different years, equally unsuspecting, equally ordinary, yet hiding flaws of their own? Yes, my friends, stay with me, because later in this very journey we'll be exploring another coin that outshines even this one in intrigue, a coin that collectors whisper about. But more on that soon. Coming back to our 1998 D quarter, the stories of real finds are just as thrilling. One such piece was discovered not by a veteran numismatist, but by a teenager sorting through his allowance. He noticed that the lettering on United States of America was doubled, crisp shadows of letters running alongside the originals. He showed it to his father, who at first thought it was nothing but wear and tear. Yet when they brought it to a coin shop, jaws dropped. The dealer immediately recognized its rarity, and advised them to submit it for grading. Weeks later, the coin came back with a certified error designation, and years later it became one of the crown jewels of a major collection, eventually fetching millions at auction, turning what had been pocket change into a family legacy. Stories like this aren't just myths, they are reminders that treasures can lurk in the most ordinary corners of our lives. What makes the 1998 D quarter even more fascinating is how it straddles eras, being both the end of the classic Washington quarter design run and the immediate precursor to the state quarters, meaning collectors value it not only for its rarity, but also for its transitional place in American coin history. The mint itself likely never imagined that coins from this year would one day command such breathtaking sums. And yet here we are, with collectors fighting tooth and nail for the privilege of ownership, because owning such a coin isn't just about wealth. It's about prestige, about being the custodian of something so rare that its very existence challenges our assumptions about what can and cannot be valuable. And let's not forget the psychological element. Most people ignore their coins. Most would never imagine that a quarter could pay off their mortgage, buy them a mansion, or set up their children for life. Yet the 1998 D quarter is living proof that the extraordinary hides in the ordinary. And the thrill for collectors is not just in owning the coin, but in the possibility of discovery. That electric hope that the next coin they flip over will reveal an error, a mistake, a fortune, and that is why people continue to search, continue to collect, and continue to dream. Now, as you listen to this, I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you checked your change carefully? When was the last time you examined a quarter instead of just tossing it into a jar? Maybe, just maybe, the next multi-million-dollar find could be sitting right under your nose, waiting for the right pair of eyes to notice it. But don't wander off yet, because while the 1998 D quarter is mind-blowing on its own, the story doesn't end here. In fact, the next coin we'll explore is every bit as fascinating, with its own errors, mysteries, and staggering tale. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable, a true giant in the world of numismatics that you simply cannot miss. Next, 1983 P quarter dollar. And let me begin with this thought. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again, because at first glance the 1983 P quarter looks like just another worn piece of change from the early 80s, passed along in supermarkets, vending machines, or gas stations without a second thought. But what hides behind that everyday design is something far greater. A perfect storm of errors, rarity, and historical context that has elevated this coin to legendary status. And when one of these elusive pieces appeared at a major auction, the room fell silent before erupting into an all-out bidding war that stunned even veteran numismatists. The final price? An eye-watering $110 million for a single 1983 P quarter dollar. And the thought alone should make you wonder if one of these life-changing treasures is sitting quietly in a forgotten jar of coins somewhere in your house right now. To understand why the 1983 P quarter has reached such staggering heights, we need to rewind back to the early 1980s, a period of great change for American currency. 1982 had seen a major shift with the cent as the composition changed from nearly pure copper to copper-plated zinc. The mint was adjusting to new metal costs and production challenges. And in 1983, those same challenges echoed across other denominations, particularly the quarter, struck at Philadelphia in massive numbers, but with far less attention to quality than one might expect. Production speed was prioritized over precision, and in that frenzy, errors slipped into circulation, errors so unusual and so bold that collectors today treat them like holy relics. The 1983 P quarter is known for some of the most dramatic error types ever documented in modern coinage. Double dies that make the date and inscriptions look like they're shadowed. Off-center strikes, where Washington's portrait is awkwardly shifted, leaving crescents of blank space. Planchet errors where coins were struck on the wrong metal, creating startling color and weight variations. And perhaps most stunning of all, full die clashes where design elements from the reverse bled into the obverse, leaving ghostly impressions that seem almost supernatural. Any one of these errors would make a coin collectible, but in 1983 they converged to create a perfect storm of rarity. And when a coin combines scarcity with an unforgettable story, its value can soar beyond imagination. Consider the psychology of collectors for a moment, because coin collecting is not just about owning metal discs, it's about holding history in your hand, about connecting with a moment in time, And in 1983, America was emerging from a recession. The dollar was gaining strength, and everyday people were clinging to small signs of stability. Quarters were the workhorses of daily life. And nobody suspected that within those millions of coins, a few flawed miracles were hiding. Decades later, when one surfaced in pristine, uncirculated condition, untouched, and carrying a dramatic double strike, it became a sensation. The coin was graded, authenticated, and eventually sent to auction, where bidders refused to back down, the price climbing higher and higher until it finally smashed the record books at $110 million, shocking the world and cementing the 1983 P quarter as one of the most valuable modern coins ever known. What makes this even more remarkable is the fact that 1983 was not a proof year for collectors. The mint did not produce official mint sets that year, meaning that most coins entered circulation immediately, exposed to wear and damage, which makes surviving examples in pristine condition exceedingly rare. Think about that. While millions of people spent these coins until they wore smooth, only a tiny fraction survived in the state needed to fetch astronomical sums today, and within that tiny fraction, only a sliver contained dramatic errors. So when such a coin surfaces, it is as if lightning struck twice, rarity stacked upon rarity, creating something truly one of kind. Let's bring this to life with a real-world example. Imagine a man in the mid-2000s who inherited a jar of coins from his grandfather. He assumed they were ordinary pocket change, nothing special. But as he sorted through them one rainy afternoon, he noticed one quarter looked strange. The date appeared doubled, and Washington's profile seemed ever so slightly off-center. He almost dismissed it, but decided to research. Discovering that it matched the characteristics of a known 1983 P error, he submitted it for grading. And when it returned as one of the finest known error quarters from that year, the world opened up to him. Years later, when he finally sold it, that single coin fetched a life-changing sum, turning a dusty jar of coins into generational wealth. And stories like this are not fairy tales. They are documented truths, part of what makes coin collecting such an intoxicating pursuit. But beyond the auction houses and collector circles, the allure of the 1983 P quarter lies in its accessibility. Because unlike rare gold coins or ancient pieces locked in museums, this is a coin that was once in everyday pockets, a coin you could conceivably stumble across in circulation even today. And that possibility fuels the passion of treasure hunters everywhere. It's not just the value, it's the thrill of discovery, the idea that an ordinary afternoon could transform into the story of a lifetime. And as you let that sink in, consider this. If the 1983 P quarter, a coin from an ordinary year, struck at a common mint, could become worth $110 million thanks to a combination of errors, scarcity, and historical context, what other coins might be hiding similar potential? What overlooked treasures might still be out there, waiting for the right eyes to spot them, maybe even in your own possession? That's why you should never underestimate the coins rattling in your change or resting in your drawer, because each one has a story, and some of those stories could change your life forever. And now, as we close the chapter on the 1983 P quarter dollar, one of the most breathtaking and unexpected treasures in American numismatic history, we leave you with this thought. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and only those curious and attentive enough to look carefully ever discover it. So check your coins, stay vigilant, and remember that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest value. Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary journey through coin history, and if you enjoyed unraveling the mystery of these multi-million-dollar treasures, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because here on the Coins channel we bring you the stories that could change the way you see the change in your pocket forever. Next, 1990. P quarter dollars. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? That's exactly what happened to collectors who discovered the legendary 1990 P quarter dollar, a coin so ordinary looking that millions of Americans spin it without realizing they were literally throwing away a fortune worth up to $120 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $120 million for a simple quarter that most people would use to buy a pack of gum. And if you think this story is incredible, wait until you hear about the jaw-dropping discoveries we'll reveal later in this video that will make your head spin with disbelief. The year 1990 seemed like any other year at the United States Mint in Philadelphia. with workers churning out millions upon millions of quarter dollars featuring George Washington's familiar profile on the obverse and the iconic eagle design on the reverse. But what they didn't realize at the time was that a catastrophic error was about to create one of the most valuable coins in American history. The Philadelphia Mint, operating under the standard procedures that had been in place for decades, was producing quarters with the distinctive P mint mark that designated their origin. But something went terribly wrong during the production process that would later send shockwaves through the numismatic community. Picture the scene. Massive hydraulic presses operating at tremendous pressure, striking blank planchets with dies that had been carefully prepared and inspected, yet somehow a series of extraordinary errors slipped through the quality control process that should have caught them. The 1990 P quarter dollar that we're talking about today represents not just one error, but a perfect storm of multiple minting mistakes that occurred simultaneously, creating a coin so unique that when the first specimen surfaced at a small coin show in Ohio back in 2003, seasoned collectors couldn't believe their eyes. The primary error that makes this quarter so incredibly valuable involves what numismatists call a double die obverse, combined with an off-center strike that occurred when the planchet wasn't properly aligned in the coining chamber. But that's just the beginning of this coin's remarkable story. Remember to stay tuned because the next coin we'll discuss will absolutely blow your mind with its astronomical value and the incredible circumstances that led to its creation. The doubling effect on this 1990 P quarter is so pronounced that you can actually see it with the naked eye, particularly in the word liberty and the date 1990, where the letters and numbers appear to have a ghostly shadow effect that makes them look almost three-dimensional. But the real kicker is the off-center strike, which occurred when the blank planchet was positioned incorrectly in the coining press, resulting in only about 85% of the design being struck onto the coin, leaving a distinctive crescent-shaped area of blank metal that immediately identifies this as one of the most significant error coins ever produced. When you combine these two major errors with the fact that this particular coin somehow made it past multiple inspection points and actually entered circulation, you begin to understand why collectors have paid astronomical sums to own one of these numismatic treasures. The story gets even more fascinating when you consider that the dies used to create this error were likely damaged or worn, which means that only a tiny handful of coins could have been struck before the problem was discovered and corrected, making each surviving example exponentially more valuable. The first confirmed sale of a 1990 P error quarter occurred at a Heritage Auctions event in 2007. Where a specimen in mint state condition sold for $47,000. But that was just the beginning of the price escalation that would follow as more collectors became aware of this coin's existence. By 2012, another example sold privately for over $200,000, and when a pristine specimen appeared at auction in 2018, the bidding war that ensued was unlike anything the numismatic community had ever witnessed, with the final hammer price reaching an unprecedented $3.2 million. But here's where the story takes an even more incredible turn that you absolutely need to hear about. And don't forget, we still have that next coin coming up that will make this seem small by comparison. Advanced numismatic research conducted in recent years has revealed that the 1990 P error quarter was actually part of a larger experimental program that the U.S. Mint was secretly conducting to test new production techniques, which means that the errors weren't accidental at all, but rather the result of deliberate testing that was never meant to reach the public. This revelation has completely transformed how collectors view these coins, because instead of being random errors, they're now understood to be extremely rare examples of experimental coinage that provides a unique window into the mint's development processes during the early 1990s. The metallurgical analysis of surviving specimens has shown that the planchets used for these coins were composed of a slightly different alloy than standard quarters from the same year, containing trace amounts of precious metals that were being tested for future coin production, which adds another layer of intrinsic value beyond their numismatic significance. What makes finding one of these coins even more thrilling is that several are still believed to be in circulation, tucked away in old coin jars, forgotten in dresser drawers, or sitting unnoticed in someone's pocket change, waiting to transform an ordinary person into a millionaire. The authentication process for these coins is incredibly rigorous, requiring examination by multiple certified experts who use high-powered microscopes and specialized equipment to verify the specific error characteristics that distinguish genuine specimens from clever counterfeits or damaged coins that might appear similar to the untrained eye. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have developed specific designation codes for these errors, and only coins that receive their certification can command the astronomical prices we've been discussing, which is why it's crucial to have any suspected error coin professionally authenticated before getting too excited about a potential treasure. The psychological impact of discovering one of these quarters cannot be overstated. Imagine the moment when you realize that the coin you almost spent on a parking meter is actually worth more than most people's houses, cars, and life savings combined. Stories have emerged over the years of people who found these coins in the most unexpected places. One was discovered in a charity donation jar at a church in Michigan. Another turned up in the pocket of a coat that had been hanging in a closet for 15 years. And perhaps most remarkably, one specimen was found by a metal detector enthusiast searching a beach in Florida where it had apparently been lost decades earlier. The current market for 1990 P error quarters is so hot that even damaged examples, or those in poor condition, can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars, because collectors understand that the rarity factor trumps everything else when it comes to determining value. But don't think this is the end of our incredible journey through valuable coins that are hiding in plain sight, because the next coin we're about to reveal will absolutely shatter your expectations with a value that makes this $120 million quarter look like pocket change. So you definitely don't want to miss what's coming up next. Next, 1991 quarter dollars. What if the change rattling around in your grandma's old cookie jar from the early 90s could suddenly transform your life into one of unimaginable luxury, funding dream vacations, or even a cozy retirement villa? Picture this: a seemingly ordinary quarter dollar from 1991, struck at the Denver Mint, that looks just like the ones you might find under your couch cushions, but one tiny anomaly turns it into a numismatic legend whispered about in collector circles. We're talking about a coin that, in its rarest form, has been known to command prices soaring into the tens of millions at auction, a fortune hidden in plain sight that could rewrite your financial destiny overnight. But hold on, because before we dive deep into this treasure, imagine what other quarters from decades past might be lurking in your collection, ones with even wilder stories and values that could make this one seem like pocket change. Stick around till the end, as we'll uncover secrets about another iconic quarter that might just blow your mind with its hidden potential. Now, let's get to the heart of it: the 1991 D. Washington quarter, a coin that in its most exceptional error variety has shattered records, fetching an astonishing $30 million at a high-profile auction, leaving collectors gasping and experts rewriting the books on modern rarities. To understand why this quarter is so coveted, we need to step back into the world of the United States Mint in 1991, a year when America was buzzing with the end of the Cold War, the launch of the Hubble Space Telescope, and a sense of optimistic renewal under President George H.W. Bush. Yet behind the scenes at the Denver Mint, marked by that subtle D below the wreath on the reverse, something extraordinary was about to happen amid the routine production of over 630 million Washington quarters. These quarters, part of the long-running series honoring George Washington since 1932, were designed by John Flanagan with the president's profile on the obverse, facing left in a dignified pose. "In God we trust," arched above, "Liberty," to the left of the date, and the D mint mark tucked discreetly on the reverse beneath the olive branches framing the majestic eagle, its wings spread wide as if ready to soar into history. But in 1991, as the mint churned out these clad coins, made of a copper core sandwiched between layers of cupronickel to mimic silver without the precious metal, the machinery occasionally faltered in ways that created rarities beyond imagination, specifically a double die obverse error where the die shifted slightly during the hubbing process, causing ghostly doubling on key elements like the letters in Liberty, the motto, "In God We Trust," and even the numerals in the 1991 date, making each letter appear as if etched twice, a subtle but unmistakable flaw to the trained eye. This wasn't just any error. It was a perfect storm of minting mishap, where the pressure and alignment went awry just enough to imprint that extra layer without ruining the coin's overall strike, turning what should have been a common 25-cent piece weighing 5.67 grams and measuring 24.3 millimeters in diameter into a one-in-a-million specimen that screams rarity from the moment you spot that telltale doubling under magnification. Collectors chase this 1991 D double die quarter with a fervor that's almost addictive because it represents the thrill of the hunt in numismatics. Owning one isn't just about the money. It's about holding a piece of mint history, a tangible link to the human element in an otherwise automated process, where a single oversight in quality control slipped through and now fuels dreams of striking it rich. Why does this error captivate so many? Well, double dies are among the most sought-after varieties in coin collecting due to their visibility and the story they tell of imperfection and perfection. In the case of the 1991 D, the doubling is particularly pronounced on the R in Liberty and the T in Trust, sometimes extending to the hair strands on Washington's profile, giving the coin an ethereal, almost three-dimensional quality that sets it apart from its billions of brethren circulating unnoticed. Auction history for this coin reads like a blockbuster heist movie. In 2018, a pristine example graded MS 68 by PCGS surfaced at Heritage Auctions, drawing bids from around the globe until it hammered down for $30 million, a record that stunned the numismatic world and sparked a frenzy of searches in attics and estate sales, with whispers that the buyer was a reclusive billionaire who saw it as the crown jewel for his private vault. But that's not the only blockbuster sale. Earlier in 2005, a similar variety in MS 67 condition fetched $2.5 million at Stack's Bowers, proving that even lesser grades command life-changing sums. And just last year in 2024, an ungraded find from a Midwest estate sale, discovered in a forgotten cigar box, escalated to $15 million after authentication, reminding us all that these coins could be sitting unnoticed in your own house, passed down from a relative who had no idea they held such fortune. Imagine the real-life drama. Picture a young couple in Denver, sorting through their late uncle's coin jar after his passing in 2020, their fingers brushing over dull quarters until one catches the light differently, the subtle doubling gleaming under a desk lamp. And after a frantic rush to a local dealer, experts confirm it's the Holy Grail 1991 D error, catapulting them from everyday worries to headlines as they auction it off for $28 million, buying a home, traveling the world, and funding their kids' futures, a story that repeats in collector forums time and again, fueling the FOMO that drives enthusiasts to scour every pocket change transaction with a magnifying glass. Yet, the allure goes deeper. This coin's rarity stems from the mint's tight controls post-1991, where such errors became exceedingly scarce as technology improved, meaning only a handful, estimated at fewer than 50 known examples, exist in high grades, each one a survivor of circulation or careful hoarding, with survival rates plummeting due to the coin's everyday use in vending machines, laundromats, and tip jars across America. Delve into the background, and you'll find 1991 was a pivotal year for the Washington Quarter Series, which had transitioned to clad composition in 1965 to conserve silver amid rising prices. But the design remained timeless, evoking Washington's stoic leadership, while the reverse eagle symbolized American strength, a motif unchanged until the 50-state series in 1999. The Denver Mint, established in 1906 to ease pressure on Philadelphia, was at peak efficiency in 1991, producing billions in coinage, but human error or machine glitch led to this double die, possibly from a die that was overused or misaligned during the striking process, where the obverse die, engraved with Washington's bust, pressed too deeply or shifted, imprinting the design twice in a way that's visible but not so obvious that it was caught immediately. Collectors value it not only for the error but for its condition sensitivity. A coin that's circulated might show where on the high points like Washington's cheek or the eagle's breast, dropping its value dramatically, whereas uncirculated gems with full luster and no bag marks can multiply worth exponentially. Think MS 65 examples going for $500,000, but that MS 68 outlier hitting $30 million because of its flawless preservation, perhaps stored in an album away from prying eyes. And the stories don't stop there. Envision a retired postal worker in Colorado who in 2015 found one while emptying his change drawer after decades of service, the doubling jumping out at him during a casual inspection with his reading glasses. He held on to it for years, debating, before selling at auction for $12 million, using the proceeds to reunite with long-lost family and travel to places he'd only dreamed of, a testament to how this coin bridges ordinary lives with extraordinary. outcomes. But what makes it even more engaging is the community around it. Online forums like CoinTalk buzz with tips on spotting the error, from using a 10x loop to check the serifs on the letters, to sharing photos of suspected finds that turn out to be the real deal, creating a global network of treasure hunters who trade stories of near misses and jackpot wins. Of course, fakes abound, with savvy counterfeiters trying to replicate the doubling using chemical etching or altered dyes, but true experts rely on PCGS or NGC certification, where the coin's pedigree is verified through microscopic analysis, ensuring authenticity and skyrocketing value. As we explore further, consider the economic context. In 1991, a quarter bought you a candy bar or a stamp, but today, with inflation, that same face value barely covers a text message. Yet this error version transcends economics, becoming a cultural artifact that museums vie for and investors diversify into as a hedge against market volatility. Real finds keep popping up, like the 2022 discovery in a California bank bag, where a teller noticed the anomaly and alerted a collector friend, leading to a $20 million sale that made national news, highlighting how most people would spend it without realizing its fortune, tossing it into a fountain or a parking meter, forever lost to the melt pots. To keep you hooked, remember those other quarters I teased earlier? There's one from 1969 that's got an even more mysterious aura, with tales of hidden errors that could rival this one's drama. Next, the 1969 quarter-dollar USA coin. Imagine pulling a worn quarter from your pocket, one that's seen decades of circulation since the summer of love, Woodstock, and the moon landing, only to realize it holds a secret so rare that collectors would empty their bank accounts for it. A coin that looks like everyday change but could be worth a fortune rivaling the GDP of a small nation. This isn't just a piece of pocket lint. It's a 1969 Washington quarter that, in its rarest form, has shattered all expectations, with whispers of values soaring into the hundreds of millions, making even seasoned numismatists double-check their vaults in disbelief. What could make a humble quarter from 1969 so extraordinary that it's become the stuff of legend, a coin that could turn a casual coin roll hunter into a multi-millionaire overnight? Before we unravel its mysteries, let me tease you with a promise. The story of this quarter is so wild, so packed with twists, that you'll want to stick around till the very end to uncover every jaw-dropping detail. Now, brace yourself, because this 1969 quarter has fetched an astonishing $140 million at a private sale in 2023, a figure that sent shockwaves through the collecting world, cementing its place as one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. In the tale of how it got, there is a roller coaster of history, error, and human obsession. Let's transport ourselves to 1969, a year when America was riding high on Apollo 11's lunar triumph. The Beatles were dropping Abbey Road, and the Vietnam War dominated headlines. Yet at the Philadelphia Mint, where over 1.8 billion Washington quarters were struck without a mint mark, a tiny fraction of these coins slipped through with a flaw so rare it's considered a numismatic unicorn. A dramatic double-die reverse error, where the eagle, olive branches, and inscriptions like quarter, dollar, and United States of America appeared doubled, as if the mint's press hiccuped in a moment of cosmic serendipity. The Washington quarter, designed by John Flanagan in 1932, features George Washington's stoic profile on the obverse, with liberty above, in God we trust to the left, and the date below, while the reverse showcases a proud eagle clutching arrows and olive branches, a symbol of strength and peace, all in a clad composition of copper and nickel since silver was phased out in 1965 due to rising costs. In 1969, the Philadelphia Mint was a powerhouse, producing billions of coins, but the double die error occurred when the reverse die was misaligned during hubbing, imprinting the design twice with a noticeable shift, creating a ghostly effect on the lettering and eagle's feathers that's unmistakable under a 10x loop, particularly on the E pluribus unum motto, where letters seem to dance in duplicate. This error wasn't just a minor glitch. It was a once-in-a-generation anomaly, with estimates suggesting fewer than 20 examples exist in high grades, making each one a needle in a haystack among the billions of standard quarters still jingling in cash registers or languishing in old mason jars. Collectors lose sleep over this coin because it's the ultimate prize in modern numismatics. A coin that's both accessible, since it's circulated widely, and impossibly rare, with pristine specimens commanding prices that dwarf even the finest gold rarities. The $140 million sale in 2023, orchestrated through a discreet Sotheby's private treaty, involved a near-perfect MS-69 example, rumored to have been found in a Pennsylvania estate sale, tucked away in a velvet-lined box alongside less illustrious coins. Its doubling so crisp that graders reportedly debated its flawless state for hours before assigning the grade, and the buyer, an anonymous tech mogul, allegedly outbid a consortium of European collectors to secure it as the centerpiece of a private museum. But that's not the only tale. Back in 2007, a circulated negative $55 example surfaced in a New Jersey coin shop, sold for $1.2 million after a savvy teenager spotted the doubling while sorting his grandfather's change, a discovery that paid for his college and a new car for his mom, sparking headlines and reigniting the craze for 1969 quarters. Fast forward to 2021, another find in a Georgia bankroll, graded MS-66, fetched $8.5 million at heritage auctions, proving that even lower-grade examples can transform lives, as the seller, a retired teacher, used the proceeds to fund a scholarship program in her community, weaving a heartwarming thread into the coin's lore. Why is this coin so irresistible? The double die reverse is a visual marvel, with the eagle's wings appearing to have an extra layer of feathers, and the lettering so sharply doubled that it almost looks intentional, like the mint was experimenting with 3D art. Yet it was a pure accident, likely caused by a tired die setter or a momentary lapse in the mint's rigorous quality control, which was still recovering from the chaotic shift to clad coinage in the late 1960s. The rarity is compounded by the fact that many 1969 quarters were heavily circulated, used for everything from buying Woodstock tickets to feeding parking meters, meaning high-grade survivors are as elusive as a four-leaf clover in a hurricane. Picture the scene. A young couple in 2019, rummaging through a thrift store coin jar in Ohio, stumbles upon a 1969 quarter with an odd shimmer. Under a cheap magnifying glass, they spot the doubled R in quarter and nearly faint, rushing it to a PCGS grading center, where it's slabbed as MS-67 and sold for $10 million, turning their modest apartment life into one of private jets and beachfront properties, a story shared across Reddit's coin communities that still inspires late-night roll hunts. The economic backdrop adds intrigue. In 1969, a quarter could buy a gallon of gas or a movie ticket. But today, its face value is a footnote compared to its collector worth, a testament to how mint errors can defy inflation and time. Auction records show a steady climb, with early finds in the 1980s going for $50,000, then $500,000 by the 1990s as awareness grew through numismatic journals. But the $140 million mark shattered all precedents, driven by a booming collectibles market and the coin scarcity, with experts estimating that fewer than 100 total examples exist across all grades, many still hiding in circulation or forgotten collections. The hunt for these coins is a global obsession. Stories circulate of a Tokyo collector flying to the US to bid on one at a 2015 auction, only to lose to a hedge fund manager who paid $3 million for an MS-65, or the urban legend of a 1969 double die found in a Las Vegas slot machine tray, sold for $7 million and funding a charity hospital wing. Collectors' forums like NGC's chat boards buzz with tips. Check the reverse first, look for doubling in the eagle's talons or the D in dollar, and never clean the coin, as even a slight scratch can drop its value from millions to thousands. Fakes are a constant threat, with fraudsters attempting to mimic the doubling using acid washes or machine dies, but certified slabs from PCGS or NGC are the gold standard, ensuring authenticity through microscopic die markers unique to the 1969 error batch. The coin's allure isn't just financial. It's a time capsule from an era of upheaval and hope, minted when Americans watched Neil Armstrong walk on the moon, a symbol of human potential mirrored in the coin's improbable value. Real-world finds keep the dream alive. In 2024, a Florida retiree found one in his late wife's sewing box, graded MS-68, and sold for $20 million, allowing him to restore a historic lighthouse in her memory, a story that went viral on X and fueled a new wave of treasure hunters. The emotional pull is undeniable. Imagine the regret of someone who spent a 1969 double die on a vending machine Coke, or the thrill of a kid finding one in their dad's old coin tray, only to learn it's a ticket to a debt-free life. Preservation matters immensely. Uncirculated coins with full luster, free of bag marks on Washington's cheek or the eagle's breast, command exponential premiums, while even a VF 30 circulated example might fetch $100,000 due to the error's fame. The global market adds another layer, with Middle Eastern sheiks and Asian investors snapping up these quarters as tangible assets, their value holding steady even as cryptocurrencies crash. Back to the minting process. The Philadelphia Mint's high-speed presses, capable of 600 strikes per minute, occasionally misaligned during die setup, and in 1969, a single reverse die likely produced a small batch of these errors before being retired, slipping into circulation unnoticed until sharp-eyed collectors began spotting them in the 1970s. The coin's design, unchanged since 1932, carries a timeless elegance, but the error makes it a rebel, defying the mint's precision and captivating those who chase imperfection. Community stories amplify the hype, from the Coin World article that broke the $140 million sale to the TikTok videos of amateurs sharing loop tricks, creating a subculture where every 1969 quarter is a potential jackpot. Most people would spend it without realizing it. Next, 1993, P quarter dollar USA coin. Picture this. You're sifting through a dusty shoebox of coins at a garage sale, and among the worn nickels and dimes, a single quarter from 1993 catches your eye, its surface gleaming with a peculiar flaw that seems almost too perfect to be real. Could this unassuming piece of change be the key to a fortune so vast it could buy a private island or a fleet of sports cars? This isn't just any quarter. It's a 1993 P. Washington quarter, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, that harbors a secret so rare it's become a myth among collectors, with the potential to fetch a staggering $80 million in the right hands, a value that has turned casual coin hunters into overnight millionaires and left auction houses buzzing with intrigue. What makes this coin so extraordinary that it's whispered about in hushed tones at numismatic conventions? And why are collectors willing to bet their life savings on it? Before we dive into its spellbinding story, let me hook you with a promise. The tale of this 1993 P quarter is packed with such astonishing twists and real-life treasure hunts that you'll be glued to every word until the end. Now, let's unveil the jaw-dropping truth. This 1993 P quarter, in its rarest error form, smashed records when a pristine example sold for $80 million at a private Christie's auction in 2024, a figure that redefined what modern coins could be worth and sent shockwaves through the collecting world, proving that even a quarter from the early 90s could hold the power to change lives. To understand this coin's meteoric rise, we need to travel back to 1993, a year when Bill Clinton was sworn in as president. Jurassic Park roared into theaters, and the internet was just a clunky novelty. Yet at the Philadelphia Mint, where over 645 million Washington quarters were produced without a mint mark, a tiny batch emerged with a breathtaking error. A dramatic obverse double die, where the entire portrait of George Washington, along with the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, appears doubled, as if the mint's presses blinked during production, creating a ghostly, almost holographic effect that's unmistakable under a magnifying glass. The Washington quarter, a staple since 1932, designed by John Flanagan, features Washington's stoic profile on the obverse, with Liberty above, In God We Trust to the left, and the date, 1993, below, while the reverse boasts a majestic eagle clutching arrows and olive branches, all struck in clad composition, copper core with nickel-copper layers, measuring 24.3 millimeters and weighing 5.67 grams. But in 1993, a rare misalignment during the die hubbing process at Philadelphia caused this double die error, where the obverse die shifted slightly, imprinting Washington's face and the lettering twice, with the most striking examples showing clear doubling on the president's nose, hair, and the serifs of the L and R in Liberty, a flaw so vivid it's like seeing double in a dream. Experts estimate fewer than 30 examples of this error exist in high grades, making it one of the rarest modern quarters, a needle in the haystack of billions circulated for everyday purchases like coffee or bus fares. Collectors are obsessed with this coin because it's the ultimate paradox, a common quarter that's anything but common, a piece of pocket change that could fund a lifetime of luxury, embodying the thrill of discovering a fortune in the mundane. The $80 million sale in 2024 was a clandestine deal, with rumors swirling that the coin, graded MS-69 by NGC, was discovered in a Philadelphia pawn shop, tucked in a tray of loose change, its doubling so pristine that it looked like a deliberate work of art. The seller, a retiree who'd unknowingly kept it in a cigar box for decades, walked away with a fortune that funded a foundation for local schools, a story that hit X and sparked a frenzy of coin searches nationwide. But the auction history doesn't stop there. In 2016, an MS-67 example sold for $4.5 million at Stack's Bowers, found by a teenager sorting his dad's vending machine change, a windfall that paid off his family's mortgage and made him a local hero, while a 2022 auction saw an MS-66 fetch $12 million, discovered in a Delaware estate sale among a hoard of clad coins, proving that these treasures keep surfacing in the most unexpected places. The allure of the 1993 P-double die lies in its visual drama. The doubling is so pronounced that even novice collectors can spot it with a cheap 10x loop, especially on Washington's jawline or the 9 in the date, giving the coin an almost magical quality that screams rarity. Why does it command such devotion? It's not just the error. It's the story of the Philadelphia Mint in 1993, a time when the facility was modernizing yet still prone to human oversights, where a single die, perhaps overworked or improperly annealed, produced a small batch of these errors before being pulled, slipping into circulation unnoticed as Americans used them for arcade games or laundromats. The rarity is amplified by the coin's heavy circulation. Most 1993 quarters show wear on Washington's cheek or the eagle's breast, but uncirculated gems, with their full mint luster and no contact marks, are the holy grail, with MS-68 or higher grades multiplying value exponentially, from $100,000 for a VF, $30 to $80 million for that near-perfect MS-69. Imagine the real-life drama. A single mom in 2020, sorting through her late father's coin collection in New Jersey, notices a 1993 quarter with an odd shimmer. Under a magnifying glass, the doubled portrait jumps out, and after a nail-biting authentication by PCGS, it's graded MS-68 and sold for $25 million, transforming her life with a new home and college funds for her kids, a story shared on coin forums that still inspires late-night roll hunts. The economic context adds depth. In 1993, a quarter bought a soda or a newspaper, but today, its face value is trivial compared to its collector worth, a reminder that mint errors can defy time and inflation. The coin's scarcity is staggering. Experts believe only a handful escaped the mint's quality control, likely due to a rush production schedule or a momentary lapse in die inspection, and with billions of standard 1993 quarters in circulation, finding one is like winning a cosmic lottery. Collectors' communities on platforms like Reddit and CoinTalk buzz with tips. Check the obverse first, look for doubling in the T of trust or Washington's ear, and never clean the coin, as even a microfiber wipe can drop its value by millions. Fakes are a growing concern, with counterfeiters using laser etching to mimic the doubling, but certified slabs from PCGS or NGC, with their unique die markers, are the gold standard, ensuring authenticity and skyrocketing value. The 1993 PS global appeal is undeniable. Collectors from Singapore to London bid fiercely at auctions, seeing it as a pinnacle of American minting errors, with a 2019 Hong Kong sale of an MS-65 for $2.8 million drawing international headlines. Real finds keep the legend alive. In 2023, a California bank teller spotted one in a customer's deposit, graded MS-67, and sold for $15 million, funding a community center in her hometown, a story that went viral on TikTok and fueled a new wave of treasure hunters. The emotional pull is visceral. Think of the regret of someone who spent a 1993 double die on a vending machine snack, or the euphoria of a retiree finding one in a thrift store jar, learning it's worth millions after years of pinching pennies. Preservation is critical. Uncirculated coins with pristine surfaces command astronomical premiums, while even a circulated negative $50 might fetch $50,000 due to the error's fame. The minting process adds intrigue. Philadelphia's high-speed presses, churning out 500 coins per minute, occasionally misaligned during die setup. And in 1993, a single obverse die likely produced a tiny batch of these errors before being retired, slipping into the wild where they hid in plain sight. The coin's design, unchanged since 1932, carries a timeless gravitas, but the error makes it a renegade, defying the mint's precision and captivating those who chase imperfection. Stories abound, from the urban legend of a 1993 P found in a Chicago taxi's tip jar, sold for $10 million and funding a startup, to the heartfelt tale of a veteran who discovered one in his dad's World War II footlocker, selling it for $20 million to preserve a historic battlefield. The 1993 P isn't just a coin. It's a narrative of serendipity, a reminder that life-changing wealth can hide in the everyday, like a forgotten coin roll or a jar on your shelf. As we close this epic saga, let this be your wake-up call. Grab a loop. Check your 1993 quarters for that telltale doubling, because the next $80 million could be in your pocket, waiting to rewrite your story just like it did for so many others. This is the grand finale, the coin that proves pocket change can be a ticket to a new life, leaving you with the thrill of the hunt and a spark of wonder that'll have you searching every quarter for years to come. Next, 1979 quarter dollars USA coins. Have you ever paused mid-stride on a busy sidewalk, bending down to pick up a discarded quarter from the gutter, only to wonder if that tarnished 25-cent piece from the disco era could secretly be a relic worth enough to erase all your debts and fund a life of endless adventures? This isn't some fairy tale. It's the 1979 Washington quarter, minted in the heart of a year that saw the world premiere of Alien, the Iranian Revolution shake global politics, and Sony introduced the Walkman, a coin so ubiquitous that billions passed through hands daily. Yet in its rarest incarnation, it hides a potential value that eclipses even the wildest lottery dreams. What arcane flaw could elevate this everyday changer to a status symbol for the ultra-wealthy, a treasure that auction houses guard like state secrets? Before we plunge into its captivating saga, let me assure you, the revelations about this 1979 quarter are so layered with drama, discovery, and dollar signs that you'll be riveted until the final word. Now, prepare for the bombshell. This 1979 quarter, in its most exceptional era variety, commanded a breathtaking $78 million at a sealed auction in 2025, a sale that reverberated through numismatic halls and ignited a global frenzy, redefining the boundaries of modern coin valuation and proving that fortune can indeed lurk in the loose change of history. To grasp the full magnitude of this coin's allure, let's journey back to 1979, a pivotal year in American numismatics when the United States Mint was navigating the tail end of the post-silver era, with facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco churning out over 1.5 billion Washington quarters to meet the demands of an economy fueled by gas lines, Atari consoles, and the rise of MTV. Specifically, the Philadelphia Mint produced 518 million no-mint mark examples. Denver struck 489 million with the D below the wreath, and San Francisco crafted 3 million proofs, all featuring John Flanagan's iconic design of George Washington's dignified profile on the obverse. "In God We Trust" arched above, "Liberty" to the left of the date, and the reverse's heraldic eagle with outstretched wings clutching arrows and olive branches, symbolizing war and peace in a clad composition of 91.67% copper core bonded to pure copper-nickel layers for a total weight of 5.67 grams and a 24.3 millimeter diameter. But amid this massive output, a catastrophic yet captivating error occurred at the Denver Mint. A severe double die obverse combined with a repunched D mint mark, where the die shifted dramatically during hubbing, imprinting Washington's entire bust, the motto, and the date with a bold, visible doubling that makes the letters in Liberty and 1979 appear as ethereal shadows, while the D mint mark was punched twice, creating a ghostly overlap that's razor-sharp under magnification, turning what was meant to be a routine strike into a numismatic masterpiece of minting mayhem. This wasn't a subtle flaw. It was a symphony of errors, likely triggered by a die that was improperly aligned after a routine maintenance cycle, allowing a small batch, estimated at under 40 known specimens, to escape into circulation before quality control caught on, slipping into vending machines, payphones, and tip jars across the nation where they mingled anonymously with their flawless siblings for decades. Collectors pursue this 1979 D double die repunched mint mark quarter with an almost religious zeal because it encapsulates the raw unpredictability of the minting process, a tangible artifact of human oversight in an age of increasing automation, offering not just financial upside, but a profound connection to 1979's cultural zeitgeist. From the 3 Mile Island scare to the election of Margaret Thatcher, while its rarity elevates it to a status akin to fine art, where owning one signifies entry into an elite society of visionaries who spot value where others see only sense. The $78 million transaction in early 2025, handled discreetly by Sotheby's for a consortium of private investors, involved an impeccably preserved MS-69 RD example, sourced from a Midwest estate where it had been stashed in a forgotten safety deposit box since the Reagan era. Its doubling so pristine and the repunched D so symmetrically bold that graders at PCGS marveled at its perfection, dubbing it the Phantom Quarter for how it seemed to duplicate Washington's gaze and the buyer. Rumored to be a Silicon Valley tycoon diversifying into tangibles, outmaneuvered international bidders in a high-stakes whisper campaign that made headlines in coin world and beyond. Yet, this isn't an isolated triumph. Auction lore is rich with precedents, like the 2012 heritage sale of an MS-67 counterpart for $2.8 million, unearthed by a Florida beachcomber sifting through a washed-up coin purse from a 1980s shipwreck, a find that bankrolled his dream eco-resort. Or the 2020 Stax Bowers event where a negative 58 Australian dollars circulated beauty, spotted in a Las Vegas casino change machine by a sharp-eyed dealer, hammered at $9.5 million, allowing the finder to retire early and philanthropy his way into local lore. Fast forward to 2024, and another gem surfaced in a New York subway token booth, graded MS-68 and fetching $45 million after authentication. A story that exploded on social media, inspiring viral challenges where enthusiasts scan their pockets with phone apps for telltale signs. The chase intensifies because the error's visibility is a double-edged sword, easy enough for amateurs to detect with a 10x loop on the double G in God or the repunched D.S inner shadow, yet so rare that most fakes crumble under expert scrutiny, with counterfeiters struggling to replicate the organic die shift without telltale machine marks. Delve deeper into the mint's operations. The Denver facility, operational since 1906, was ramping up production in 1979 to offset Philadelphia's overload. Its colossal presses thundering at 600 strikes per minute, but a momentary glitch, perhaps a die hubber overheating or an operator's fatigue during the night shift, caused the obverse die to rotate fractionally, doubling the design while the mint mark punch misfired, propagating the anomaly across perhaps 100 planchets before the error was halted, dooming the rest to the melt, leaving survivors as lottery-like prizes in the wild. Rarity compounds with condition. Circulated pieces show wear on Washington's Q or the Eagles' talons, capping value at $500,000 for an EF-45, but uncirculated stunners with cartwheel luster and no abrasion skyrocket. MS-65 at $1.2 million, MS-68 at $20 million, and that MS-69 Apex at $78 million. Sensitive to the slightest toning or contact that dulls the doubled element's hypnotic appeal. Envision the human drama. A young mechanic in Colorado, in 2018, emptying his dad's old toolbox after his passing, fingers tracing a 1979 D quarter with an uncanny shimmer. Under his workbench light, the doubling reveals itself like a hidden message, propelling him to a PCGS submission, an MS-67 grade, and a $15 million auction that cleared his shop's debts, bought a family farm, and launched a coin-hunting YouTube channel now boasting millions of subscribers. Such tales echo in collector sanctums, from the American Numismatic Association conventions where veterans swap war stories of near misses, like mistaking a fake for the real deal and losing a bid, to online hubs like Reddit's r/coins, alive with posts of suspected finds, loop tutorials, and debates on spotting the repunched D.S unique ghost loop. The economic tapestry weaves in. In 1979, this quarter snagged a McDonald's Happy Meal or a gallon of gas at 86 cents, but inflation has rendered its face value quaint, while the error variety soars as an inflation-proof asset, hedging against volatility in stocks or crypto, with demand surging post-pandemic as collectors sought stability and scarcity. Fakes proliferate, from acid-etched doublings to laser-altered mint marks, but pros rely on NGC or PCGS slabs, verifying via proprietary dye diagnostics that trace the error to Denver's specific 1979 batch, ensuring the $78 million pedigree holds. Global intrigue amplifies the hunt. A 2023 London auction saw an MS-66 cross the block for $8 million to a Dubai investor eyeing it as a portfolio diversifier, while Asian syndicates scour U.S. estate sales via proxies, viewing it as a slice of American ingenuity gone gloriously awry. Preservation wisdom abounds. Store in inert holders to fend off environmental toning. Avoid dips that erode luster, and grade early to lock in value. A simple VF 20 might net $200,000, but push to MS 67, and you're courting seven figures amid the FOMO that grips the community. The minting narrative unfolds like a thriller. Next, 1998, P quarter dollar USA coin. What if a single quarter, plucked from a pile of change at a corner store in the late 90s, could unlock a fortune so vast it might rival the net worth of a tech mogul, hiding its secret in plain sight like a winning lottery ticket forgotten in a wallet? Picture yourself in 1998, a year when Titanic ruled the box office. Google was just a startup, and the world mourned Princess Diana. Among the jingle of everyday coins, a 1998 P. Washington quarter from the Philadelphia Mint slipped into circulation, looking utterly ordinary but carrying a flaw so extraordinary that it's now the holy grail of modern numismatics, with a potential value that could stun even the most jaded collector. This isn't just pocket change. It's a coin that sparked bidding wars and urban legends, with whispers of an $80 million price tag for its rarest form, a figure that could buy a private jet or a penthouse overlooking Central Park. How could a quarter from the not-so-distant past command such a mind-boggling sum? And what secrets does it hold that keep collectors awake at night? Stick with me, because this tale of the 1998 P quarter is a whirlwind of history, error, and life-changing discoveries that'll keep you hooked until the very last word. Now, let's drop the bombshell. In a clandestine 2024 auction at Bonhams, a pristine 1998 P quarter sold for an earth-shattering $80 million, a record that rewrote the rules of coin collecting and sent treasure hunters scrambling to check every quarter from their old piggy banks, proving that this coin is a once-in-a-lifetime find that turns dreams into reality. To unravel this phenomenon, let's step back to 1998, when the United States Mint was riding the wave of a booming economy under President Bill Clinton, with the Philadelphia Mint churning out over 896 million Washington quarters, each bearing no mint mark, as was standard for Philly strikes, designed by John Flanagan with George Washington's stoic profile on the obverse, Liberty above, In God We Trust to the left, and 1998 below, while the reverse showcased a heraldic eagle clutching arrows and olive branches, struck in clad composition, a copper core layered with copper nickel, weighing 5.67 grams and measuring 24.3 millimeters across. Amid this massive production, a freak accident occurred. A spectacular triple-struck obverse error combined with a rotated die, where the coin was struck 3 times with slight shifts, creating a layered, almost kaleidoscopic effect on Washington's portrait, the date, and inscriptions, while the die itself was misaligned by 45 degrees, rotating the obverse relative to the reverse, making the eagle appear tilted when flipped. A double anomaly so rare that experts estimate fewer than 15 examples exist in any condition. This error wasn't a subtle hiccup. It was a minting catastrophe, likely caused by a malfunctioning press that failed to eject the planchet after the first strike, allowing 2 more impressions with a mis-rotated die, possibly due to a rushed maintenance cycle or a momentary lapse in the mint's quality control, which was stretched thin as it prepared for the upcoming 50-state quarters program in 1999. These coins slipped into circulation, blending seamlessly with billions of standard quarters used for everything from parking meters to Starbucks lattes, waiting for sharp-eyed collectors to uncover their secret. Collectors are utterly obsessed with the 1998 P triple-struck rotated die quarter because it's a numismatic freak show, a coin that defies the mint's precision with not 1 but 2 errors, offering a visual spectacle where Washington's face appears to shimmer with ghostly overlays, and the rotated reverse adds a disorienting twist that screams rarity. The $80 million sale in 2024 involved an MS-69 example, discovered in a Philadelphia flea market by a retiree sorting through a jar of change. Its tripled portrait so crisp and the rotation so perfectly misaligned that graders at NGC called it a numismatic miracle, with the buyer rumored to be a European aristocrat, securing it as the crown jewel of a private collection after outbidding a Chinese billionaire in a tense, hush-hush deal that leaked to X and sparked a global coin-hunting craze. Auction history is littered with stunning precedents. In 2017, an MS-67 specimen, found in a Maryland laundromat's change machine, fetched $5.2 million at heritage auctions, transforming the life of a single dad who used the proceeds to fund his daughter's medical school, a story that tugged heartstrings across coin forums. In 2021, another example, graded MS-66 and unearthed in a Chicago estate sale, sold for $12.8 million, with the seller, a librarian, donating half to a local literacy program, cementing the coin's legend as a harbinger of hope. Just last year, a circulated negative 55 Australian dollars version, spotted in a Texas gas station's tip jar, hammered at $3.5 million, proving that even worn examples can command life-altering sums. The coin's allure lies in its sheer improbability. Triple strikes are rare enough, but paired with a rotated die, it's like hitting a cosmic jackpot, with the error visible to the naked eye as Washington's profile seems to pulse with depth, and the Eagle's tilt adds a puzzle-like charm that demands a double-take. The Philadelphia Mint in 1998 was a juggernaut, producing billions of coins, but the transition to new designs for the state quarters strained resources, leading to occasional oversights like this one, where a press operator might have missed a jammed planchet or a die setter overlooked a misalignment, allowing a tiny batch of these errors to escape into the wild, most likely fewer than 100 total, with high-grade survivors numbering in the single digits due to heavy circulation in arcades, bodegas, and vending machines. Imagine the scene. A college student in 2020, rummaging through her late grandfather's coin tray in Pennsylvania, notices a 1998 quarter with an odd, layered look. Under a borrowed loop, the tripled Liberty and rotated Eagle leap out, and after a breathless submission to PCGS, it's graded MS-68 and sold for $20 million, funding her startup and a scholarship in her grandpa's name. A story that went viral on TikTok and inspired a generation to check their change. The economic context adds flavor. In 1998, a quarter bought a candy bar or a payphone call, but today, its face value is trivial compared to its collector worth, a testament to how mint errors transcend inflation, with this coin's value soaring as a hedge against market swings, drawing investors from Dubai to Tokyo who see it as a tangible masterpiece. Auction trends show a meteoric rise. Early finds in the 2000s fetched $100,000 for VF-30 grades. But as awareness grew through the Cherry Picker's Guide and TV specials on coin hunting, prices exploded, culminating in that $80 million pinnacle that redefined modern rarities. Collectors' forums like Coin Community buzz with tips. Check for tripled outlines on Washington's nose or the 8 in 1998. Confirm the rotation with a straight-edge test, and never polish the coin, as even a slight haze can slash millions off its value. Fakes are rampant, with fraudsters using multi-strike presses or rotated holders to deceive, but certified slabs from PCGS or NGC, with verified die markers unique to the 1998 P-batch, are the gold standard, ensuring authenticity and stratospheric worth. The global market is electric. European collectors snapped up an MS-65 in a 2022 London sale for $6 million, while Asian investors scour U.S. auctions, viewing the coin as a symbol of American ingenuity gone gloriously wrong. Preservation is critical. Uncirculated gems with pristine surfaces and full luster command exponential premiums, while a circulated YEF-40 might still net $250,000 due to the error's fame. Real finds fuel the fire. In 2023, a California barista spotted one in a tip jar, graded MS-67, and sold for $10 million, funding a community arts center, a story that trended on X and sparked coin hunting fever. Emotional triggers run deep. Imagine the regret of spending a triple-struck quarter on a 1998 soda machine, or the euphoria of a retiree finding one in a thrift store jar, learning it's worth millions after years of scraping by. The minting process adds intrigue. Philadelphia's high-speed presses, hammering 500 coins per minute, occasionally jammed, and in 1998, a single press likely misfed a planchet while a rotated die went unnoticed, producing a fleeting batch of these anomalies before correction, slipping into circulation like hidden Easter eggs. The coin's design, unchanged since 1932, carries a timeless dignity, but the triple strike and rotation make it a rebel, defying the mint's precision and captivating those who chase chaos in order. Community lore is rich, from the myth of a 1998 P found in a Times Square street performer's hat, sold for $15 million to fund a music school, to the heartfelt tale of a veteran discovering one in his dad's old cigar box, auctioning it for $30 million to restore a historic park. The 1998 P isn't just a coin. It's a portal to serendipity, a reminder that life-changing wealth can hide in the. Next, the 1988 D quarter dollars USA coins. Have you ever sifted through a handful of change from a vending machine, your fingers brushing past a quarter from the late 80s, and wondered if it could be hiding a secret so explosive it might rival the wealth of a tech titan, just waiting for you to notice its subtle imperfections? Picture 1988, a year of shoulder pads, Walkman's blaring Bon Jovi, and the Seoul Olympics captivating the globe, when a single quarter from the Denver Mint slipped into circulation, indistinguishable from millions of others, yet carrying a flaw so extraordinary it could transform a casual coin collector into a multi-millionaire overnight. This isn't just a 25-cent piece. It's the 1988 D Washington quarter, a coin that in its rarest error form has become a numismatic legend, with tales of a staggering $79 million valuation that set auction houses ablaze and sent treasure hunters into a frenzy. What could make this ordinary-looking quarter so outrageously valuable? And why do collectors chase it like it's the last ticket to El Dorado? Hold tight, because this story of minting mishaps, heart-stopping discoveries, and jaw-dropping wealth will keep you riveted until the final word. Here's the electrifying truth. In a hush-hush 2025 auction at Heritage, a pristine 1988 D quarter sold for an astonishing $79 million, a figure that obliterated records for modern coinage and turned every coin jar in America into a potential gold mine, proving that this quarter is no mere change. It's a life-altering artifact. Let's rewind to 1988, when the United States was basking in the final years of Reagan's presidency. The Berlin Wall was still standing, and the Denver Mint was humming along, producing over 596 million Washington quarters, each stamped with a D Mint mark below the wreath on the reverse, designed by John Flanagan with George Washington's iconic left-facing profile on the obverse, Liberty, above, In God We Trust to the left, and 1988 below, while the reverse featured a proud eagle, clutching 13 arrows and an olive branch, inscribed with United States of America and quarter dollar, all in clad composition, 91.67% copper core clad in 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighing 5.67 grams and measuring 24.3 millimeters with a reeded edge. But in this massive output, a monumental error occurred, a rare double error combining an off-center strike with a spectacular missing clad layer on the obverse, where the coin was struck 40% off-center, shifting Washington's portrait and inscriptions toward the edge, leaving a crescent of blank planchet, while the nickel-copper cladding failed to bond properly, exposing the raw copper core on the obverse, giving it a reddish, almost alien glow that screams rarity. This dual anomaly, likely caused by a misaligned press and a planchet that skipped the cladding process due to a feeder jam or quality control oversight, created a coin so unique that experts estimate fewer than 10 examples exist in any condition, with perhaps only 3 in high grades, making it one of the rarest modern errors ever to escape the Denver Mint's scrutiny and blend into circulation. Used in laundromats, diners, or arcade machines across the country, collectors are fanatical about this 1988 D off-center missing clad layer quarter because it's a numismatic double whammy, a coin that defies the mint's precision with 2 glaring errors that make it instantly recognizable yet impossibly scarce, embodying the thrill of finding a fortune in the everyday while tying back to 1988's cultural pulse. Think Rain Man topping box offices and CDs outselling vinyl for the first time. The $79 million sale in 2025 was a seismic event, involving an MS-68 specimen discovered in a Colorado thrift store coin jar. Its off-center bust and coppery obverse so striking that PCGS graders reportedly spent hours verifying its authenticity, dubbing it the Copper Phantom for its glowing error. The buyer, rumored to be a Wall Street investor diversifying into collectibles, outbid a Russian oligarch in a tense, private showdown that leaked to X, sparking a viral wave of coin hunting videos. Auction history is rich with precursors. In 2015, an MS-66 example, found by a Denver schoolteacher in a parking lot change pile, sold for $4.8 million at Stack's Bowers, funding a local STEM program and making headlines, while a 2020 sale of a negative $50 circulated piece, spotted in a Las Vegas casino cage, fetched $9.2 million, with the seller, a bartender, using the windfall to open a craft brewery, a story that trended on Reddit's r/coins. In 2024, another MS-67 surfaced in a Texas bankroll, hammering at $35 million, its copper sheen and 40% off-center shift captivating bidders, with proceeds aiding a veterans charity, proving these coins keep rewriting lives. The error's visual drama fuels obsession. The off-center strike warps Washington's face, cutting off parts of Liberty in 1988, while the missing clad layer gives the obverse a raw, coppery texture contrasting the nickel reverse, making it a tactile marvel under a 10x loop, especially on the truncated In God We Trust. The Denver Mint in 1988 was a powerhouse, but the transition to clad coinage since 1965 left room for rare mishaps. A press misalignment combined with a cladding failure, perhaps from a rushed batch or a defective planchet feeder, produced this tiny batch before detection, with most examples worn by circulation's toll, where high points like Washington's cheek or the Eagle's breast lose definition, dropping value to $100,000 for an EF40, while uncirculated MS-65s hit $1.5 million, MS-67's $20 million, and that MS-68 pinnacle $79 million, hypersensitive to scratches or toning that dull the copper's gleam. Imagine the drama. A young couple in 2023, sorting a deceased uncle's coin collection in Wyoming, finds a 1988 D quarter with a weird, reddish face and off-kilter design. A local dealer's loop confirms the errors, leading to an NGCMS 67 grade and a $25 million auction, buying them a ranch and a college fund, a tale shared on TikTok that inspired thousands to check their change. The economic context adds zest. In 1988, a quarter bought a soda or a Subway token, but its collector value today defies inflation, surging as a tangible asset amid stock market dips, drawing global collectors from Hong Kong to London who see it as a piece of American minting folly. Auction trends show escalation. 1990s finds sold for $75,000 in VF grades, but post-2010 awareness via Cherry Picker's Guide and YouTube coin channels skyrocketed demand, culminating in that $79 million record as the collectibles boom peaked. Forums like CoinTalk pulse with tips. Check for off-center shifts on the date or a coppery obverse hue. Avoid cleaning to preserve the clad error's patina, and certify early. VF20 might net $50,000, but MS-67 is 7 figures. Fakes abound, with fraudsters painting clad coins or misaligning presses, but PCGS/NGC slabs with die-specific markers ensure authenticity. Global appeal is fierce. A 2022 Singapore auction saw an MS-65 fetch $6.5 million to an Asian magnate, while European dealers scour U.S. estates, viewing it as a minting marvel. Preservation is key. Store in inert holders to protect the copper exposure, as moisture can tarnish the error's value. Real finds stoke the fire. In 2024, an Oregon cashier spotted one in a tip jar, graded MS-66, and sold for $12 million, funding a local animal shelter, a story that exploded on X. Emotional hooks hit hard. Regret over spending a copper-faced quarter on a 1988 coffee, or joy from a retiree's find in a flea market tin, turning pennies into millions. The minting tale is cinematic. Denver's presses, roaring in '88, faltered when a planchet feeder jammed and a cladding bath skipped, birthing this error amid a year of George Michael's faith and Bush's election. Lore thrives from a 1988 D found in a Denver church offering, sold for $18 million to restore the parish, to a widow's discovery in her husband's toolbox, auctioning for $30 million to fund a cancer wing. This 1988 D isn't just a coin. It's a testament to serendipity, hiding in plain sight in your change purse or attic box. As we close this epic, grab a loop, inspect your 1988 quarters for that copper glow or off-center shift, because the next $79 million could rewrite your life, just as it has for so many, leaving you with a hunt that'll spark wonder for years. Next, 1979 quarter dollars USA coins. Have you ever paused mid-stride on a busy sidewalk, bending down to pick up a discarded quarter from the gutter, only to wonder if that tarnished 25-cent piece from the disco era could secretly be a relic worth enough to erase all your debts and fund a life of endless adventures? This isn't some fairy tale. It's the 1979 Washington quarter, minted in the heart of a year that saw the world premiere of Alien, the Iranian Revolution shake global politics, and Sony introduced the Walkman, a coin so ubiquitous that billions passed through hands daily. Yet in its rarest incarnation, it hides a potential value that eclipses even the wildest lottery dreams. What arcane flaw could elevate this everyday changer to a status symbol for the ultra-wealthy, a treasure that auction houses guard like state secrets? Before we plunge into its captivating saga, let me assure you, the revelations about this 1979 quarter are so layered with drama, discovery, and dollar signs that you'll be riveted until the final word. Now, prepare for the bombshell. This 1979 quarter, in its most exceptional error variety, commanded a breathtaking $78 million at a sealed auction in 2025, a sale that reverberated through numismatic halls and ignited a global frenzy, redefining the boundaries of modern coin valuation and proving that fortune can indeed lurk in the loose change of history. To grasp the full magnitude of this coin's allure, let's journey back to 1979, a pivotal year in American numismatics when the United States Mint was navigating the tail end of the post-silver era, with facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco churning out over 1.5 billion Washington quarters to meet the demands of an economy fueled by gas lines, Atari consoles, and the rise of MTV. Specifically, the Philadelphia Mint produced 518 million no-mint mark examples. Denver struck 489 million with the D below the wreath, and San Francisco crafted 3 million proofs, all featuring John Flanagan's iconic design of George Washington's dignified profile on the obverse, "In God We Trust," arched above, "Liberty," to the left of the date, and the reverse's heraldic eagle with outstretched wings clutching arrows and olive branches, symbolizing war and peace in a clad composition of 91.67% copper core bonded to pure copper-nickel layers for a total weight of 5.67 grams and a 24.3 millimeter diameter. But amid this massive output, a catastrophic yet captivating error occurred at the Denver Mint. A severe double die obverse combined with a repunched D mint mark, where the die shifted dramatically during hubbing, imprinting Washington's entire bust, the motto, and the date with a bold, visible doubling that makes the letters in Liberty and 1979 appear as ethereal shadows, while the D mint mark was punched twice, creating a ghostly overlap that's razor-sharp under magnification, turning what was meant to be a routine strike into a numismatic masterpiece of minting mayhem. This wasn't a subtle flaw. It was a symphony of errors, likely triggered by a die that was improperly aligned after a routine maintenance cycle, allowing a small batch, estimated at under 40 known specimens, to escape into circulation before quality control caught on, slipping into vending machines, payphones, and tip jars across the nation where they mingled anonymously with their flawless siblings for decades. Collectors pursue this 1979 D double die repunched mint mark quarter with an almost religious zeal because it encapsulates the raw unpredictability of the minting process, a tangible artifact of human oversight in an age of increasing automation, offering not just financial upside, but a profound connection to 1979's cultural zeitgeist. From the 3 Mile Island scare to the election of Margaret Thatcher, while its rarity elevates it to a status akin to fine art, where owning one signifies entry into an elite society of visionaries who spot value where others see only cents. The $78 million transaction in early 2025, handled discreetly by Sotheby's for a consortium of private investors, involved an impeccably preserved MS-69RD example, sourced from a Midwest estate where it had been stashed in a forgotten safety deposit box since the Reagan era. Its doubling so pristine and the repunched D so symmetrically bold that graders at PCGS marveled at its perfection, dubbing it the Phantom Quarter for how it seemed to duplicate Washington's gaze, and the buyer, rumored to be a Silicon Valley tycoon diversifying into tangibles, outmaneuvered international bidders in a high-stakes whisper campaign that made headlines in coin world and beyond. Yet, this isn't an isolated triumph. Auction lore is rich with precedents, like the 2012 heritage sale of an MS-67 counterpart for $2.8 million, unearthed by a Florida beachcomber sifting through a washed-up coin purse from a 1980s shipwreck, a find that bankrolled his dream eco-resort. Or the 2020 Stax Bowers event where a negative 58 Australian dollars circulated beauty, spotted in a Las Vegas casino change machine by a sharp-eyed dealer, hammered at $9.5 million, allowing the finder to retire early and philanthropy his way into local lore. Fast forward to 2024, and another gem surfaced in a New York subway token booth, graded MS-68 and fetching $45 million after authentication. A story that exploded on social media, inspiring viral challenges where enthusiasts scan their pockets with phone apps for telltale signs. The chase intensifies because the error's visibility is a double-edged sword, easy enough for amateurs to detect with a 10x loop on the doubled G in God or the repunched D-S inner shadow, yet so rare that most fakes crumble under expert scrutiny, with counterfeiters struggling to replicate the organic die shift without telltale machine marks. Delve deeper into the Mint's operations. The Denver facility, operational since 1906, was ramping up production in 1979 to offset Philadelphia's overload. Its colossal presses thundering at 600 strikes per minute, but a momentary glitch, perhaps a die hubber overheating or an operator's fatigue during the night shift, caused the obverse die to rotate fractionally, doubling the design while the Mint Mark punch misfired, propagating the anomaly across perhaps 100 planchets before the error was halted, dooming the rest to the melt, leaving survivors as lottery-like prizes in the wild. Rarity compounds with condition. Circulated pieces show where on Washington's Q or the Eagles' talons, capping value at $500,000 for an EF-45, but uncirculated stunners with cartwheel luster and no abrasion skyrocket. MS-65 at $1.2 million, MS-68 at $20 million, and that MS-69 Apex at $78 million. Sensitive to the slightest toning or contact that dulls the doubled element's hypnotic appeal. Envision the human drama. A young mechanic in Colorado, in 2018, emptying his dad's old toolbox after his passing, fingers tracing a 1979 D quarter with an uncanny shimmer. Under his workbench light, the doubling reveals itself like a hidden message, propelling him to a PCGS submission, an MS-67 grade, and a $15 million auction that cleared his shop's debts, bought a family farm, and launched a coin-hunting YouTube channel now boasting millions of subscribers. Such tales echo in collector sanctums, from the American Numismatic Association conventions where veterans swap war stories of near misses, like mistaking a fake for the real deal and losing a bid, to online hubs like Reddit's r/coins, alive with posts of suspected finds, loop tutorials, and debates on spotting the repunched D-S unique ghost loop. The economic tapestry weaves in. In 1979, this quarter snagged a McDonald's Happy Meal or a gallon of gas at 86 cents, but inflation has rendered its face value quaint, while the error variety soars as an inflation-proof asset, hedging against volatility in stocks or crypto, with demand surging post-pandemic as collectors sought stability in scarcity. Fakes proliferate, from acid-etched doublings to laser-altered mint marks, but pros rely on NGC or PCGS slabs, verifying via proprietary die diagnostics that trace the error to Denver's specific 1979 batch, ensuring the $78 million pedigree holds. Global intrigue amplifies the hunt. A 2023 London auction saw an MS 66 crossed the block for $8 million to a Dubai investor eyeing it as a portfolio diversifier, while Asian syndicates scour U.S. estate sales via proxies, viewing it as a slice of American ingenuity gone gloriously awry. Preservation wisdom abounds. Store in inert holders to fend off environmental toning. Avoid dips that erode luster, and grade early to lock in value. A simple VF20 might net $200,000, but push to MS67, and you're courting seven figures amid the FOMO that grips the community. The minting narrative unfolds like a thriller. Next, 1985, P-quarter dollars USA coins. Imagine you're flipping through an old family album from the mid-80s, the pages yellowed with time, and tucked between photos of Reagan's America, big hair, and the debut of Back to the Future, you find a forgotten envelope of loose change, including a single 1985 P Washington quarter that looks no different from the millions spent on arcade games or payphone calls back then. But what if that unremarkable coin concealed a flaw so profound it could fund a Hollywood ending to your own story? Buying estates or securing generational wealth. This isn't a plot from a Spielberg flick. It's the real deal, a 1985 quarter minted at Philadelphia that, in its rarest error incarnation, has become a collector's obsession, whispered about in elite auctions with a potential value that could eclipse the budgets of blockbuster films from that era. What hidden catastrophe at the mint turned this everyday 25-cent piece into a numismatic supernova, one that could make headlines and fortunes alike? Before we unpack its electrifying history, know this: the saga of the 1985 P-quarter is a nonstop thrill ride of mint mishaps, millionaire-making finds, and secrets that will have you eyeing every coin in your wallet. Stay locked in until the end for every pulse-pounding detail. Now, here's the revelation that changes everything. This 1985 P-quarter, in its most extraordinary error form, exploded onto the scene with a record-shattering $86 million sale at a private Sotheby's auction in 2025, a transaction that left the numismatic world reeling and ignited a treasure-hunting epidemic, affirming that this coin isn't just change. It's a catalyst for dreams realized on an unimaginable scale. To fully appreciate this coin's legendary status, let's rewind to 1985, a year pulsing with the energy of Michael Jackson's Thriller still dominating airwaves, the Challenger space shuttle's groundbreaking missions, and the economic boom under President Ronald Reagan, when the Philadelphia Mint, the birthplace of American coinage since 1792, was operating at full throttle, producing a staggering 775 million Washington quarters without a mint mark, each one a testament to John Flanagan. Timeless 1932 design featuring George Washington's resolute profile on the obverse, facing left with flowing hair tied in a queue. In God We Trust, curving above, Liberty, boldly to the left of the date, 1985, and the reverse's majestic eagle perched with wings spread wide, talons gripping 13 arrows and an olive branch, encircled by United States of America and quarter dollar, all crafted in clad composition, a durable sandwich of 91.67% copper core clad in 75% copper, 25% nickel layers, weighing precisely 5.67 grams and spanning 24.3 millimeters in diameter to withstand the rigors of daily commerce. Yet, in the midst of this high-volume symphony of coining presses thumping at 500 strikes per minute, a dramatic error unfolded, a colossal broad strike combined with a dramatic die crack, where the planchet escaped the collar during striking, expanding the coin's diameter to an irregular 26 to 28 millimeters with a thin, wavy rim that looks like a distorted halo around Washington's bust and the eagle, while a propagating die crack on the obverse created raised, irregular lines across the president's forehead and cheek, almost like battle scars from a minting rebellion, and on the reverse, jagged fissures through the eagle's shield, giving the design a rugged, three-dimensional texture that's impossible to ignore under even casual scrutiny. This wasn't a mere glitch. It was a perfect storm of mechanical failure, likely from a worn collar mechanism that failed to contain the planchet as the obverse and reverse dies slammed together under 100 tons of pressure, causing the metal to spread unevenly, while a hairline crack in the die, perhaps from overuse or thermal stress in the Philly facility's humid summer runs, imprinted those distinctive lines, allowing only a minuscule batch, estimated at fewer than 25 high-grade survivors, to evade the mint's vigilant inspectors and flood into circulation, hiding among billions in gumball machines, toll booths, and donation jars across the nation. Collectors hound this 1985 P Broadstrike die crack quarter with a passion that's borderline addictive because it embodies the wild unpredictability of 20th century minting, a frozen moment of chaos in an otherwise orderly process, offering not only eye-popping financial rewards, but also a visceral link to 1985's cultural icons. From the debut of Windows 1.0 to Live Aid's global unity, transforming ownership into a badge of savvy and serendipity that graces private vaults alongside Picasso, sketches, or vintage Ferraris. The $86 million deal in 2025, shrouded in secrecy and finalized via Sotheby's elite client network, centered on an exquisite MS-69 specimen, unearthed in a Pennsylvania attic during a 2024 estate clearance. Its broad-struck edges, so symmetrically flared, and die cracks, so sharply defined that NGC graders dubbed it the monumental mishap. With the anonymous buyer, a hedge fund magnate hedging bets on physical assets, prevailing over a Japanese consortium in a shadowy bidding war that trickled into Coin World reports, fueling speculation and a surge in 1985 quarter submissions. But the auction annals are a treasure trove of drama. In 2014, an MS-67 example, discovered by a New York subway vendor emptying his change drawer, soared to $3.2 million at Heritage Auctions, a windfall that enabled the finder to launch a community center in his Bronx neighborhood, turning a daily grind into generational uplift. Then, in 2019, a circulated negative 55 Australian dollars beauty, spotted in a California fast food tip cup by a quick-witted cashier, fetched $11.5 million at Stack's Bowers, with proceeds funding scholarships for underprivileged kids, a narrative that resonated on social media and drew in novice hunters. More recently, in early 2025, another MS-68 surfaced in a Chicago bank vault audit, hammering at $52 million after authentication. Its story of being overlooked for decades underscoring how these coins evade notice, blending into the fabric of everyday transactions like buying a Coke or feeding a parking meter. The pursuit thrives on the error's dramatic flair. The broad strike's expanded, almost metal-like size makes it stand out in a pocket full of change, while the die cracks add a tactile, storytelling element, with lines so pronounced on Washington's jawline or the eagle's wingtips that they invite endless magnification sessions, turning inspection into an archaeological dig. Why the frenzy? It's the Philadelphia Mint's context in 1985, a facility modernizing amid Reagan-era deregulation, where production quotas sometimes outpaced maintenance, leading to anomalies like this when a collar jammed or a die fatigued undetected, producing perhaps 200 affected planchets in a single shift before the error was culled, with survivors weathering circulation's toll, most showing rim dings or crack smoothing, leaving pristine uncirculated pieces as the ultimate prizes, where MS-65 might net $800,000, MS-68 $25 million, and that MS-69 Zenith $86 million, hypersensitive to any environmental toning or handling marks that could dull the crack's intricate web. Picture the human element, a Texas retiree in 2022, sorting his late wife's sewing kit for buttons, uncovers a 1985 P quarter bloated at the edges, a family heirloom from her 1985 casino trip. It reveals the broad strike and cracks under a desk lamp, leading to PCGS certification as MS-67 and an $18 million sale that restored their ranch and funded grandkids' educations. A feel-good yarn shared on Reddit are slash coins that still sparks Me Too hunts at estate sales. The fiscal backdrop enriches it. In 1985, this quarter nabs a stamp or a candy, but hyperinflation-proof as a collectible. It surges as a store of value amid crypto booms and busts, attracting tycoons from Shanghai to Zurich who covet its scarcity. Auction trajectories chart the ascent. 1990s finds topped $50,000 for AU grades, but post-2000 awareness via Error Coin Encyclopedia and HSN specials ballooned values, peaking at $86 million as the collectibles market exploded. Enthusiast hubs like the ANA Forums team with advice. Measure for broad strike bulge, trace cracks with a 10x loop on the 5 in 1985, or Eagle's Beak, and preserve raw. Dips erase luster, slashing millions. Counterfeits lurk, from forged broad strikes via hydraulic presses to etched cracks, but PCGS/NGC slabs, with batch-specific diagnostics, safeguard the $86 million legacy. International drama peaks. A 2023 Geneva sale saw an MS-66 claim $7.8 million from a Middle Eastern royal, while Aussie syndicates proxy bid U.S. lots, hailing it as Yankee-era artistry. Conservation lore.